The E3 press conferences have come and gone. Here are the top 5 games that impressed me the most. So the first game I'm most excited about after seeing it, even though I've seen it before a couple of times, was Insomniac's SpiderMan for the PlayStation 4. They showed off a longer gameplay trailer where you saw many of the villains that will be in this Spider-Man game. They showed off a lot of the fighting mechanics and it looks super tight. It looks a lot like the Batman Arkham fighting mechanics, which isn't a bad thing because those fighting mechanics are absolutely amazing. So why not replicate that and make something even a little bit better or a little more suited to the villain that you would be playing, which is Spider-Man. And it looks like they did that. It looks a little bit faster and there's a lot of those web swinging and those web turning elements that really make Spider-Man fun to play as a character. Now the villains that they showed off in this trailer were Electro, Rhino, Vulture, and Scorpion. And then there was a villain at the end who Spider-Man was looking up at and we don't know who it is. I was watching gameplay of this with the developers for the game and they had said that those aren't the only villains in the game. There are actually a couple more. And this is great to hear because this means there will be a ton of amazing boss battles in this game. Now I watched more gameplay demos of Spider-Man and they showed off the open world swinging and it looks so smooth and so fun, and I think that the swinging is the most important thing that they need to get right in order to make this game successful. And based off of these videos, it looks like they really are getting it right. It looks like you could spend hours just wasting it away, just swinging around the city and having a good time. Now what else makes my hype so much for this game is the fact that one of my favorite developers is making it, and that is Insomniac. And they have made so many of my favorite games like Ratchet & Clank, Spyro, and they even made Sunset Overdrive, which I believe is one of the most underrated games out there. I absolutely love it. I think it's so fun, and I really just wish more and more people would give it a chance and experience it. The second game that made this list for me actually surprised me because my hype for it had completely died down leading up to this year's E3, and that game is Anthem. In fact, after that EA Play showing, my hype for the game still wasn't very high, but then I watched an interview of the developer showing off the gameplay and them playing the game, and that's where they won me over. This game looks absolutely amazing, and here's why I think it'll be so cool and so fun to play. First of all, you're playing in a shared world, so basically everybody who is playing Anthem at the time will see what happens in the world. So changes in weather, the creatures running around the world, if there are creatures fighting, different animals fighting, everybody can see those at the same time, and you can go to work the next day, or you can go and run into other people who have played the game but aren't on your squad and talk about the things you saw in the Anthem world. To me, this is very, very cool, and just having that integration and experience with everybody so you can talk about the same things and go crazy over what you did last night on Anthem just sounds like something that is very, very appealing. I also like what they've done with the class system. They aren't tying the class system to the javelins, which is their power suits. They're tying it to the individual character itself. So you can play in more than one javelin throughout the entirety of the game. So let's say you start off as a Colossus. In an hour later, you could play as a Ranger if you were to find that suit. You could play as a Storm or the Interceptor, and those are their 4 classes. You can play as any of those at any time during the game if you have those specific suits, which is really cool because I find when I play RPG, sometimes I want to play as a different class because I'm getting a little tired of what I'm playing, or I just want to change it up, and this will allow you, and this makes me very, very happy. They also showed the javelins flying through the air, which I mean the mechanics itself look amazing. You have stamina, which is basically the jets on your suits, and you have to cool those jets off in order to increase your stamina or to get your stamina back. And ways you can do this is flying and jumping into the water, flying through waterfalls. The water will actually cool off your jets, and when they showed that off, at that moment I realized this is a game I definitely want to play. The environment is so interactive and everything in the environment looks like it's living, so it looks super cool. And then they said that there will be no loot boxes and there will be no ability to pay for power in this game, and that just makes me completely happy. This game, you will get as far as you want to with how you play and your skills and the length of time you put into it, which is what I want in these types of games. The third game on my list is very similar to Anthem in the way that it got on my list. Going into E3, I wasn't that hyped about it, although it is a game I know that I will enjoy, and this is The Division 2. Now, the reason I wasn't hyped about this game going into E3 was because I played The Division 1, I enjoyed the game, I just found there were major flaws to the game that didn't make me want to put substantial time into it. These flaws were a lot of the characters I found were very spongy when you were trying to kill them, and there was no real end game. There may have been an end game after they updated it, but they lost my attention so fast that I did not even stay for that first update. However, saying all of that, I loved the environments of the game, I loved the atmosphere, I loved the premise of the game and the story, and I loved the gunplay and the weapons. So those are things that keep me interested in The Division as a series. Now, The Division 2 got on my list after the presentation at the Ubisoft conference. The cinematic trailer they had at the conference had me enthralled throughout the entire thing. I loved the difference between being within the walls of your safe zones and then going out into the dark zone that they showed off in the trailer. I love the atmosphere. I love that it is in Washington, and then you see the White House, how beat down it is. It just looks so cool. Such a great atmosphere and environment to play a game in. So that initial trailer got me hyped up for it, and then I couldn't wait to see what they were going to say and talk about with the actual gameplay and the guts of the game. And when the speaker came out, they talked about how there will be a new progression path, which means after the campaign, after you've beaten it, you will be able to pick a specialization that will start with a signature weapon, and then you'll be able to unlock tools and abilities when you level up. So now there is a definitive endgame, and this really gets me excited because you can really customize your character after you've beaten the campaign. On top of that, to add to that endgame, there will now be 8-player raids, and I love playing raids with your friends, and the fact that that wasn't there in the first division was really disappointing, and now that they're adding it in just gets me more and more hyped for this game. They also put the cherry on top when they said that there will be 3 DLCs in the form of episodes that include a new story, a new area, and new activities, and these will all be completely free. So that alone is amazing and just great for the gamer that you will continuously get new content for The Division 2. Now, this 4th game is my surprise game of E3. It took me completely off guard when I saw it because as soon as I saw it, I knew that I would absolutely love it. And this is Tunic. Now, Tunic is an isometric action adventure game, and it looks like a Zelda style of game, and I love Zelda. My favorite Zeldas are A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. I love those style of Zelda games, and this looks like that, which is why I got so excited. When you first see the game, it looks like it's kind of easy and it's more directed towards kids because you're playing as a fox. But I watched a demo of this game, and the people playing the game, after they had played the demo, said that the enemies got harder and harder as you progress. So you started off fighting easy enemies, but when you got to the end, they were dying a lot, and they really had to use the skills and abilities they had acquired throughout the game in order to beat them, and these are pretty deep, so that is very exciting to hear. The craziest thing about this game is that it is pretty much a one-man development team that is making it, and everything about it looks really good. The sound and the music in it sounds awesome, the graphics look really good, and the gameplay looks like it'll be really fun. So I can't wait for this game to drop in 2019 so I can get my hands on it and truly experience it and really understand what the game is all about and to see if it lives up to my expectations. Now, the last game on my list was shown off at the Bethesda conference, and at this conference they showed off so many fan favorites. They showed off Fallout, they showed off Elder Scrolls, they showed off Prey, but out of all of the games that they showed off, the game that caught my attention the most and the game that I want to play the most is Rage 2. Now, Rage 2 is an over-the-top shooter where you're transported into dystopian wasteland and you play as the Ranger Walker. In the gameplay demo, they showed the way that you can kill enemies and all the different things you can do, and it just looks so fun, and it's so completely colorful, which I really love. This game looks like it's taken some of the best things from other Bethesda games. Specifically, the movement and the gunplay looks very similar to Doom. You have that open world environment which looks kind of similar to Fallout, and then they showed off how any vehicle you see you can drive, and that's really cool because I love games where you have lots of vehicular combat and you can drive a variety of vehicles, and this looks like it is that. And they're developing this game with Avalanche Studios, which is the team behind Mad Max, which was a really good game. a really underrated game at the time, but a very, very fun, good game. And it looks like they take a lot of the elements from Mad Max and from that studio's development team, and they have put it in Rage 2. So overall, I'm extremely excited for this game. It was the game that got me the most hype out of all the games they showed off at the Bethesda conference, and I just cannot wait for this to come out. So yeah, those are the games that got me the most hype after seeing them at E3 2018. I would love to know in the comments below what games you are the most hyped about and what you loved most about E3. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this video. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new to this channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.